answer. Yu Jin-ho hurriedly raised his head. I shall entrust the Yujin Guild to you. But why didn't you say it yourself? It is too risky to entrust the guild to an outsider. With you here, is there a reason to take on that risk now? But I tried to deceive you, father. You thought I'd scold you and kick you out because of that. What was going on here? Yu Jin-ho thought that his father was smiling for some reason. But Yu Myung-han's lips would always remain in a straight line, no matter what the occasion was. So, how come? However, I have a condition. Yes, father. This hunter Sung Jin-Woo. Can you bring him over to Yujin? Yu Jin-ho's eyes opened wider. The light within Yu Myung-han's eyes flickered a little just then. But that didn't last for long. That's correct. Yu Jin-ho became speechless then. Grown. Even a snot-nosed brat would know that now was the right time to confidently say something in order to leave behind a positive impression. However, the one they were talking about was none other than Hyung Nim. Yu Jin-ho could ask, sure, but he wasn't confident of anything else besides. So, he replied honestly, I can't be certain. Very good. There is no meaning if the challenge is too easy for you. The chairman Yu Myung-han took a sip of water and lightly wiped the corners of his lips with a handkerchief. If you fail, I shall hand over the guild to your brother. So, how about it? Will you accept? This boy wanted Yujin Guild. He suspected something was up when they agreed to meet today, but he didn't expect his son to be this daring. Indeed, a tiger's cub is still a tiger at the end of the day. The smile finally began to spread on Yu Myung-han's lips. 48, 49, 50. With a frightening clearing speed, Jinwoo climbed up the floors. He didn't feel tired at all when looking at the total experience points and the accumulated number of souls climbing up higher every time he hunted a monster down. He had procured the important entry permit for the 51st floor a long time ago. So, the only thing remaining was to get to the floor transfer magic circle and go upstairs. But Jinwoo's sight shifted towards the pillar of light. More specifically, a short distance in front of that pillar. And a massive demon, plus scores of high-ranked demons, were standing there, waiting. Jinwoo raised his sight up higher, and he could see the giant demon's name, floating in the air in a deep crimson hue. That thing consisted of a huge mess of fatty flesh that must have weighed dozens of tons. No, maybe even several hundred instead. And then, the massive club this thing was holding in hand looked rather horrifying as well. However, a smile was etched on Jinwoo's face. So, that's the mid-boss of this place, huh? He held only the nicest memories of the bosses found inside the instant dungeons. They all gave him plenty of experience points as well as wonderful items, compared to the boss-level monsters found in regular dungeons that required lots of hard work to kill but little reward to show for it. These boss monsters of instant dungeons were more like boxes of gifts, all nicely wrapped up. So, then, what items would that guy cough up? Gulp. Jinwoo smiled brightly and began drooling. Shadow soldiers were summoned behind Jinwoo. Not just the regular foot soldiers, but also the magic soldiers, the beast soldiers, as well as the two knights, too. And in front of them stood Jinwoo. The two knights strode forward and stood on either side of him. Jinwoo took a glance at Ygritte to his right, and Iron to his left, and a grin formed on his lips. Feels so reassuring. Even though this was his own skill, the fact that he had comrades watching his back helped greatly to calm his mind. However, still, it's a bit too much to go with a frontal assault, isn't it? The whole thing looked kinda dangerous. And that was all thanks to that wooden-looking club held tight in Vulcan's grip. It's just unbelievable that a tree that big actually existed, right? He guessed from the size of Vulcan and the wooden club that one swing from the demon would be enough to wipe away his entire platoon. Jinwoo ordered his magic soldiers to initiate the assault first. Use the ranged attacks to summon Vulcan's lackeys over here first, and I'll fight that big guy lumbering along at the rear. It was a simple enough plan to carry out. Now, when Jinwoo gave his signal, flames flew out from the hands of the magic soldiers. The flames exploded near the subordinates of Vulcan, signaling the beginning of the operation. The warning beeps resounded out in his head at a frightening pace, and at the same time, Vulcan and its lackeys all turned their heads towards Jinwoo and his army. Alright, he succeeded in drawing their attention. In order to hit Vulcan coming up from the lackey's rear without getting discovered, Jinwoo activated stealth and hid himself. Everything seemed to be unfolding according to plan. That's what he thought, but then, thud, 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 thud. Vulcan broke his expectation and bolted forward like a streak of lightning. What the hell? What is up with that movement? It's like I'm looking at video footage sped up several times. Quite literally, in the blink of an eye, Vulcan had ran past its lackeys and arrived before the shadow soldiers. Oh crap. Jinwoo's eyes widened considerably. This demon with a huge, mountain-sized body mass managed to exceed his imaginations. Vulcan lifted the club up high, Just before the club pointing to the sky fell down on the defenseless magic soldiers, Iron jumped out of nowhere and raised his black shield. Whoosh. The attack was defended against somehow, but both arms of Iron were shattered into pieces. The sturdiest, toughest among the shadow soldiers couldn't withstand a single attack and was rendered unable to fight any further. Scatter. The shattered pieces of Iron's arms fell to the ground and scattered away, perhaps finding its previous attack not to its liking. Vulcan tilted its head this way and that while staring deeply at its club. But that was only for a brief period. The beastard slammed down with the club once more. Iron, who had lost all means to defend himself, as well as the magic soldiers behind him, were crushed to oblivion next. Crack. Witnessing that event unfold, something inside Jinwoo loudly snapped into two. This son of a BTCH dares to. Jinwoo bit his lower lip. What he did next wasn't because his head told him to do it. When he regained his senses, he was already in midair, leaping towards Vulcan. His target was already set, and that would be that surprisingly beady little head attached atop the mountainous body. Jinwoo twisted his body in midair. The muscles of his shoulder and the arm cocked rearward ballooned up. When he focused all his might on his clenched right fist, stealth came undone automatically. Belatedly, Vulcan discovered Jinwoo. Too bad. Jinwoo's fist was not slow enough for the giant monster to dodge when it was already near its nose. His fist punched out like a bullet and slammed into the side of Vulcan's face. Vulcan was flung away. The giant demon rolled away on the ground for a long, long time, before crashing into the skeletal remains of a building and came to a stop. Jinwoo lightly landed back on the ground, his eyes quite wide open. Why did it fly away that easily? Unable to comprehend what just happened, he stared at his own fist in disbelief. He couldn't even spot a single nick or a scratch on his fist that managed to blow away such a huge creature. Then, he suddenly recalled something. Now that I think about it. Jinwoo raised his head. He summoned the stat window, and it quickly floated up there. Strength 150, Endurance 109, Agility 139, Intelligence 109, Perception 111. He may have learned several assassin-related skills, and his class was set as a magic type, so he had been forgetting about a crucial part until now. He had been using up all the spare bonus stat points on intelligence, yet strength was still ahead by 1.5 times. Well, I really did invest in strength blindly, didn't I? Jinwoo raised his head. The fallen Vulcan used the club to prop itself and stood up from the rubble. Did the warning chime go off because the monster is getting up? Was his system that friendly to begin with? As Jinwoo tilted his head, the culprit for that beep popped up in front of his eyes. Isn't that skill from? Even before Jinwoo managed to recall the memories of Cerberus, Vulcan, with its two reddened eyes, rushed towards him like an unstoppable tidal wave. The ground rumbled, accompanied with the loud rumbling footsteps. Iron, Jinwoo called out. Iron quickly threw his shield to Jinwoo. After catching the shield, Jinwoo shifted his glance away to find Vulcan standing right before him. If I back off here, my soldiers will get wiped away. Without his soldiers, it had become far too difficult to hunt down Vulcan and its subordinates. So, Jinwoo chose the method that could ensure the safety of his soldiers. He raised the shield, and his arm muscles tensed up. Shortly thereafter, Vulcan slammed down with its club. Slam. Fearsome attacks that rocked the earth landed several times in a row without rest, but Jinwoo patiently endured them all. His high physical defense and endurance stat allowed him to block these attacks. When its attacks did not work, Vulcan became even more frenzied and pounded away with that massive club. However, Jinwoo was steadfast and his knees buckled not even once. Still, standing around like this blocking all the time wouldn't let him hunt the boss down. Deep frowns formed on Jinwoo's forehead. The thing was, unlike how it was with Cerberus, Vulcan's rage skill didn't have a time limit, the trade-off being the skill not as overpowered as the Gatekeeper's version, meaning he couldn't remain passively defending forever like this. Jinwoo gritted his teeth. Constantly getting pounded on isn't my thing. Either. Clang. Just as the club bounced off of the shield for the last time, Jinwoo had been getting ready to counterattack and took the opening to leap towards Vulcan's head. However, he wasn't the only one waiting for an opening. Matching the timing of Jinwoo's jump, Vulcan quickly leaned its upper torso back. What? And then, the club flew in towards him from the side while drawing an arc in the air. He got me. If there were places where his hands or feet could touch, the story might have been different, but there was no way he'd be able to dodge the attack in the middle of air. Jinwoo activated the skill ruler's reach and pushed at Vulcan. Of course, the power behind the skill ruler's reach was far too low to move the massive body of Vulcan. However, the rebound meant that it was Jinwoo who was pushed back, instead. The tip of the club missed him by a hair's breadth. I did it. Jinwoo was flung away some distance and rolled on the ground a few times, but compared to what might have happened when hit by that club, his landing this time should be seen as far, far gentler. Phew. Jinwoo managed to find his balance and sighed in relief. On the other hand, Vulcan's expression had crumpled quite unsightly. It attacked, feeling proud and all, but in the end, it was all for nothing. That fact caused its fury to reach the peak. Jinwoo scratched the side of his head while staring at Vulcan's reddened face. Now what should I do about this? If he jumped to its front, the DMN thing would evade him with not much difficulty. But then, attacking other body parts instead of its head didn't look like he'd be able to critically wound it. What with all those layers of flesh getting in the way? Is there a way to make it impossible to dodge? It was at this point that yet another, and an arguably excellent, idea popped up in his head. The corners of Jinwoo's lips arched up. Suddenly, he turned around and ran. Vulcan mistook this action as him trying to escape, and hurriedly chased after him. Jinwoo moderated his running speed so Vulcan could chase after him. As soon as he discovered a suitable remnant of a building, his eyes began gleaming brightly. That one, on the other hand, when the distance between Vulcan and Jinwoo closed up, the giant demon lifted its club high up in the air behind it, to squash this bug-like creature. Finally, the chance to crush this annoying pest once and for all was here. A disgusting smile formed on Vulcan's face, and so, as the club came down with a whoosh, the insect-like creature suddenly sped up and ran up on the outer wall of the destroyed building. Something felt wrong here, but it was too late for the demon to slow down the descent of the club. In an instant, the insect had run up high enough to be at the demon's eye line, before he powerfully kicked the wall. Crack. As the spiderweb-like cracks spread on the wall, something shot towards this demon with never-before-seen speed. It was none other than that insect. Vulcan's eyes grew wider. A smile spread on Jinwoo's face as he looked into those large eyes. The Baruka's dagger gripped tightly in his right hand sliced past the bulging artery of Vulcan's neck. Slice. From the blood vessel as thick as a grown man, blood spurted out like an overflowing fountain. Vulcan hurriedly discarded the club and tried to stem the loss of blood with both of its hands. Unfortunately, it was insufficient to block the overflowing of blood. At that moment, there was a visible tremor shaking Vulcan's eyes. Before it had the time to notice it, Jinwoo had climbed up the demon's back and buried the blades of his daggers deeply into that thick neck. I guess once isn't enough, huh? Jinwoo tilted his head and pulled the daggers out before activating his skill once more. Vital points targeting. 2 daggers stabbed deeply into Vulcan's neck again. Stab, stab. Only then did the messages he was waiting for pop up. Leaving the mop-up of the remnants to his trusty soldiers, Jinwoo turned around in order to collect the loot. Was this feeling similar to unwrapping a gift? Seeing the dead body of Vulcan, a smile automatically formed on his lips. I wonder what'll come out this time. He could spy several lights sparkling on the body. He had been feeling rather optimistic about fighting Vulcan, even before the battle started. And as he expected, items were quite literally pouring out from the dead demon. Having checked the list only once, Jinwoo's face was brightening up considerably already. I can pretty much tell that Vulcan's horns should be Japtum. From its name to the total number he found, it wasn't that hard to guess that Vulcan's horns were Japtum only good for additional gold. Just like the demon's horns he got after killing various demons, which meant the remaining 3 were the real items. And there was this one item that attracted his attention more than the others. What is this material item thing? What could he possibly make with something like that? Or was the system trying to imply that it might be something related to a quest? Jinwoo's curiosity roused from its slumber after reading about a type of item he hadn't heard of before. If he wanted to read the explanations on the items, he had to acquire them first. So, he chose yes on all the item acquisition messages. Take them all. The lights glittering from different parts of Vulcan all morphed into items and appeared near his feet as soon as he said that. A pair of earrings, a red marble-like object, and timber as big as a grown woman. He could immediately tell which one was the fragment of the world tree among them. Jinwoo looked at the timber. When he did, the information on the item popped up. Rarity, type, material, remaining part of Vulcan's club, originally fashioned out of a branch of the world tree, after the contaminated portion had been removed. Timber from the world tree possess extraordinary magical energy, and is seen as top material for the crafting of the very best magic tools available. Rarity S. Type, accessory, endurance plus 20, stamina plus 20. When worn together with Demon Sovereign's necklace and Demon Sovereign's ring, set bonuses will be unlocked. Set bonus effect 1. Set bonus effect 2. Just like with other items, earrings disappeared from the view, but their options still activated with no problem. A satisfied smile formed on Jinwoo's face after confirming the rise in his stats. So, the accessory set of a demon sovereign, then. Other accessories should be around here somewhere, right? What with the word demon in their names, he could easily guess that those items must be somewhere inside the demon's castle. Just what kind of set bonuses would be unlocked if he managed to find the other two? Rarity A. Type, magic tool. Deed created by solidifying superior demon Vulcan's blood. Will strengthen all magical effects and cause greater damage. Effect appetite for destruction. X2 magic damage. It was a spherical red object the size of a billiard ball. Jinwoo tightly grasped the bead of avarice, but there was no change to his stats. He then summoned and checked the class-related skill windows, since those were the only things that could be called magic in his repertoire. But he saw no change to the number of shadows he could extract nor the number that could be stored. Meanwhile, his soldiers arrived near him one by one after taking down Vulcan's remaining underlings. The first one to arrive was Ygritte. In the right hand, 3 and another 3 in the left. He carried a total of 6 demon heads and placed them before Jinwoo. Jinwoo looked at Ygritte kneeling before him and scratched the side of his head. Hey man, can't you stop doing that? Of course, Ygritte and his gravely lowered head didn't reply. Because of you. Jinwoo's gaze slowly shifted over to Iron. Nobody could tell just when he did it, but Iron had cut Vulcan's head off and dragged it all the way to Jinwoo, before kneeling on the ground. This guy is starting to imitate you, you know. More importantly, Jinwoo hunted Vulcan down, not Iron. Jinwoo spat out a long groan while keeping his stare fixed to Iron. It was at this point that an amusing idea popped up in his head. Just like how I used Iron's shield. Maybe should I try and let these guys use this bead of avarice? What a good timing it was, since he spotted the magic soldiers slowly walking behind the regular infantrymen. They were far slower compared to normal shadow soldiers, never mind the 2 knights. Jinwoo summoned the first of the 3 magic soldiers to arrive in the vicinity. When he beckoned with his hand, the magic soldier decked out in the black robe hurriedly walked towards him. Since all shadow soldiers could be controlled via his will, he didn't really need to issue any particular commands here. Jinwoo simply gave the signal. Fire. Right at that moment, a ball of flames that was double the size of the usual attack suddenly materialized at the tip of the magic soldier's raised hand. Jinwoo's eyes opened super wide. Without giving him enough time to get shocked, the ball of flames quickly flew out from the magic soldier's hand. Jinwoo's jaw dropped to the floor. The building was swept up in the grand explosion and collapsed like a house of cards. And the ferocity of the burning flames didn't show any signs of weakening at all afterwards. Jinwoo stared in pure shock at the roaring flames, before he hurriedly took the bead of avarice back from the magic soldier. He then quickly checked the item information once more. It's not there. It's definitely not there. He went through the explanation several times to make sure, but without a doubt, there was nothing about him being prevented from lending this bead of avarice to someone else. Didn't this mean he could potentially sell this item? Gulp. Jinwoo swallowed his dry saliva before his gaze shifted back to the burning building. In the middle of a sunny afternoon, the young man from the apartment 902, you say. An auntie tilted her head and replied a short while later. I'm not sure. I haven't seen him lately. Ah, is that so? Thank you for your help. Hyun Kaicheol lowered his head and said thanks. It had been 4 days since he began waiting for Hunter Sung Jin-Woo near the youth's old apartment building. However, he hadn't run into his target until now. At this point, Hyun Kaicheol was beginning to feel that making veggie juice every morning was a bit of waste now. Apparently, he told his little sister that he'd be going on a trip with his friend for a week or so. You mean, Sung Jin-Woo Hunter Nim said that? Yes. In that case, he's probably not on Earth anymore. Pardon? Park Hye-jin's eyes opened wide. On Song-min quickly explained himself. We haven't found any evidence of him going overseas. And there is no record of him drawing money from his bank or using his credit card. Either. You can even find out things like that. Well, it's our job to follow around various hunters, after all. Oh my god. Anyways, on top of this, according to the association's last known location records, the communication with his phone was cut off in the middle of the city as well. And that happened about 5 days ago. Doesn't all this sound too mysterious to you? He couldn't have been kidnapped, right? Park Hye-jin inadvertently voiced her worry in the ensuing confusion. However, the gazes of the two people soon met, and they began chuckling almost at the same time. It was hard to tell who started first. By the way, how did you find out about him going on a trip? Oh, that. It's from Han Song-yi. I talk to her often, you see. She goes to the same school with Mr. Sung Jin-Woo's little sister, so I asked her for a favor. With On Song-min's reply, their conversation came to an abrupt end. And then, they began thinking the exact same thing. Just where did that guy disappear to? 75th floor. An army of undead suddenly rose up from the ground, and they numbered several thousand. A normal person would have been left breathless by the sight of this horrifying army, but when he found himself surrounded by so many enemies, Jinwoo didn't even panic for a second. As I thought, just as he expected, there were endless streams of black smoke rising up all around the boss monster. Seeing that, it wasn't all that difficult to guess what kind of monster this Metis happened to be. The Guide of the Departed Souls is it, and the monster's title only helped to further confirm his suspicion. Sure enough, Metis summoned a powerful undead army. Too bad, Jinwoo just so happened to possess the best type of class within this field. Create a path for me. Soldiers emerged from Jinwoo's shadow. These guys were the real deal. While the hundreds of soldiers created from the skill Shadow Extraction bought them time, Jinwoo's direct subordinates, the ones he paid careful attention to leveling up ever since his entrance into the demon's castle, carved out a path for him. His destination was obvious. Ygritte and Iron took the lead and with frightening speed and destroyed the opposing undead creatures. The distance to the boss, Metis had closed up in an instant. Jinwoo escaped from the undead army's siege and stood before Metis in an instant. Their gazes collided mid-air. You didn't expect this to happen, did you? Jinwoo's gaze was filled with victor's leisure, and Metis could only flinch from that. No, he thought that the monster flinched. Do monsters feel fear? Such a thought only lingered for a second, before Jinwoo's daggers left behind dozens of afterimages. Plop, the boss-level monster weakly fell to the ground. He already knew through experience that mage-type monsters relying on controlling others to fight were very weak when the battle became one-on-one. The moment he saw Metis in the distance, he had envisioned this end. Jinwoo returned the daggers to his inventory. Soon, the expected message popped up. Jinwoo clenched his fists tightly. 220 souls in one go. Now that was an unexpected windfall. A thick smile floated up on Jinwoo's lips. Not much remaining now. He only needed to collect less than 30 now. It was a small enough amount to quickly fill up by hunting down a handful more demons. Jinwoo really wanted to quickly finish this quest, and so he hurriedly retrieved all the loot and entered the floor transfer magic circle. The eastern United States. Hwang Dong-soo writhed this way, and that as if he was having a nightmare, before he shot up from the bed. The first thing he saw was the white ceiling. Hwang Dong-soo tilted his head at these unfamiliar surroundings. Is this a hospital? It wasn't. It wasn't a dream. Hwang Dong-soo wiped the strand of cold sweat traveling down to his chin. It was at this point that he discovered the patient gown he wore and the IV needle stuck to his arm. Hwang Dong-soo's expression hardened in fury, and then he spoke in a cold voice. If you have something to say, hurry up and say it, and leave. The deputy director of the Hunter Bureau was there with him in the room. A middle-aged Caucasian man, with more white than black on his head, slowly approached Hwang Dong-soo's bed. There is something I wanted to ask you personally, so I waited for you to come around. What did he want to ask? Hwang Dong-soo raised his head. The deputy director held his gaze without backing down and asked, that man named Seong-il Hwan, was he really a monster? Do you think I'd attack someone who was a human? I'm not saying that I don't trust you. Only that, I wish to confirm what I saw with my own eyes. The deputy director pushed forward his phone towards Hwang Dong-soo. A certain video footage was playing on its screen. And this is footage captured by CCTV cameras nearby on that day. In the footage, one could see an Oriental man rescuing employees from the collapsing Hunter Bureau building. There was no need to ask who that man was. How could Hwang Dong-soo forget? That face was the last thing he saw before he blacked out. That man was Seong-il Hwan. The deputy director's complexion darkened. I have never heard of a monster rescuing humans before. Is there no change to your opinion that this man is a monster? He's definitely a monster. Understood. The deputy director pocketed the phone. Once you're discharged from here, stop by the bureau. There are a couple of documents you need to sign. Hwang Dong-soo asked the deputy director as the latter was about to turn around and leave. What happened to that man? He disappeared after fighting you. We're in the midst of tracking him down, but he's powerful enough to knock you down easily, so whether he could be caught or not is, well. Just before he stepped out of the hospital room, the deputy director opened his mouth again, sounding more troubled than before. By any chance, do you have any idea where that man might head off to? Seeing Hwang Dong-soo resolutely keep his mouth shut as if he had nothing more to say, the deputy director quietly left the room. But once he was gone, Hwang Dong-soo furiously yanked the IV needle out of his arm. FCK. What a humiliating defeat that was. Even before he could figure out what happened, he found his neck trampled on by Seong-il Hwan. Not only that, shamefully cowering on the floor, too. Just as he began gasping for air, Seong-il Hwan spoke to him. don't come to Korea. This isn't for my son, but for your sake. You won't be able to close your eyes, even in death. And that's where his memory ended. Once he regained his consciousness, he found himself here. Can't close my eyes even in death. What did he mean by that? Was that a threat to kill Hwang Dong-soo in such a brutal way that he'd be unable to close his eyes? How dare he threaten me? I need better equipment if I want to kill him. Thankfully, it wouldn't be hard getting his hands on that equipment. I should call my guild. The guild Hwang Dong-soo was a part of, Scavenger, was one of the very best in the world. Hell, there was even a joke doing the rounds that, if one were to tally up the value of all the artifacts in possession of the Scavenger Guild, it'd easily exceed the annual budget of a small nation. If I get my hands on some artifacts, there shouldn't be a problem. Madness burned bright within Hwang Dong-soo's eyes. To South Korea, that was Hwang Dong-soo's next destination. I did it. Jinwoo couldn't hide his elation. His luck was good, and he acquired 4 souls from the very last demon he killed. With that, he was able to meet the quest's clear goal. Obviously, once he made his reply, the list of rewards popped up in his view. 1. Any one item available in the system. 2. Plus 20 bonus stat points. 3. An unknown reward. Other rewards did catch his eye. But right now, the first one on the list demanded the most of his attention. It wouldn't be much of an exaggeration to say that he completed this quest solely for the first reward, too. Except the first reward. An item he wanted was it. Of course, there was one. From the moment he saw the details of this quest, Jinwoo was thinking of a certain item. What kind of a result would be facing him now if he chose differently back then? He was curious about this ever since that fateful day. However, he didn't know whether that thing was treated as an item or not. Still, it didn't hurt to try, at least. The system asked him again, as if to urge him on. After a short deliberation, Jinwoo made his reply. The cursed random box. Back when he found himself standing on a crossroad, Jinwoo chose the blessed random box instead of the cursed random box. And the result of that decision was the key to the demon's castle. Thanks to that, he gained entry to this instant dungeon and earned a lot. His level had risen up greatly. He acquired lots of items, and as for gold, well, it was overflowing to such an extent that he was beginning to think he should start spending some very soon. Even if I was given a chance to do over, I'd have chosen the same. However, just because he chose to take this path, that didn't mean he was not curious about the potential result of choosing a different path. The blessed random box, supposed to give him what he wanted, and the cursed random box that was supposed to give him what he needed. Just what could be inside the latter. I did get what I wanted from the blessed random box, that's for sure. And so, the perfect chance to satisfy that curiosity once and for all had landed in his lap. A small box slowly materialized in front of his feet. Yes, his heart beating much quicker now, Jinwoo hurriedly picked the box up. However, he was suddenly overcome with this feeling that the weight of this box was rather familiar to him. Could it be? He quickly ripped the lid open and confirmed what was inside, only for his eyes to grow very large. Isn't this the additional stat points he earned as the quest completion reward were still waiting for him? And of course, he put them all in intelligence. Strength 178, endurance 137, agility 147, intelligence 149, perception 119. Finally, intelligence had exceeded other stats. It was still some ways off strength, but when considering the fact that he didn't even pay attention to the intelligence stat until recently, this growth could only be called lightning fast. Along with that message, a scroll similar in size to the entry permit appeared in his hands. What's this? Jinwoo's eyes opened wider at this unexpected type of reward, and he unfurled the scroll right away. You can learn the crafting methods of divine water of life. Jinwoo's eyes widened even further. I can craft an item with this, and here he was, thinking that only those who had awakened as mage types could craft weapons containing magical energy. Now that he thought about it, though, he was also a mage type, wasn't he? Rarity S. Type, consumable. A mysterious liquid medicine that cures any and all illnesses through the powerful magic contained within. The effect will only manifest after one whole bottle has been consumed. Cures any and all illnesses. The moment he read that information, he thought about his mother, still confined to the hospital. He had already confirmed through Yu Jin-ho multiple times that effects of various potions still worked on other people. If he could truly make this divine water of life, then it meant that he'd be able to save his mother. His hands holding the scroll trembled from excitement. The ingredients were also on the simpler side, so to speak. Fragment of the world tree. He earned that after killing Vulcan on the 50th floor. Spring water from the Forest of Echoes. He got that after killing Metis the Necromancer on the 75th floor. And finally, purified blood of the Demon King. This item hadn't shown up yet. However, thinking back to the 2 ingredients that had come out so far, he could easily guess where he might find some of this purified blood of the Demon King from. The upper floors. I'm sure it's with the final boss of the demon's castle, probably on the top floor. In other words, simply by clearing the demon's castle dungeon, the ingredients to craft the divine water of life would fall into his lap one by one. It happened then. A gasp of epiphany leaked out of his mouth, completely unbeknownst to him. That's how surprised Jinwoo was. Could it be that? The item he wanted as per description on the blessed random box said. Could that be this divine water of life? Mom, thinking about the possibility that he'd get to see his mother again all healthy, his eyes began welling up with emotions. Jinwoo summoned his inventory and retrieved an item stored right next to the spring water. It was a necklace, seemingly carved out from skulls of various small creatures. Rarity S. Type, accessory, agility plus 20, intelligence plus 20. When worn together with Demon Sovereign's earrings and Demon Sovereign's ring, set bonus effects will be unlocked. Set effect 1. Set effect 2. The spring water from the Forest of Echoes wasn't the only loot he got from killing the guide of the departed souls, Menace. Indeed, this rather vile-looking necklace also came out, too. Why are the designs of all the necklaces I found so crappy? Jinwoo frowned deeply while recalling the appearance of the dog collar he was currently wearing. He slowly brought the Demon Sovereign's necklace closer to his neck. Replace. The skull necklace disappeared from his hands, only to be replaced by a dog collar. He quickly shoved the dog collar inside his inventory, and checked the newly unlocked set effect of the Demon Sovereign's accessory set. Set effect 1, all stats plus 5. Set effect 2, all of my stats rose up by 5 points. He only managed to unlock one set effect, yet he received a boost similar to leveling up 5 times. And then, he still had one more unknown effect to go, the one he'd receive after gathering all the accessories. The Demon Sovereign's ring. When considering the possibility that the last unlocked set effect from all 3 accessories being in one place should be even greater than the individual parts on their own, this really was already an amazing performance. However, acquiring accessories rated at S was only a part of the harvest he enjoyed after entering the demon's castle. The real profit was his level jumping up so high. Jinwoo stared at his level that had climbed up to 77 and smiled in content. I leveled up 16 times inside a week. Such a leveling up speed was unthinkable when entering rank C dungeons. There was one thing he couldn't really figure out yet. Jinwoo let the light from the lamp fall on the object that came out of the cursed random box. Just what the hell is this thing? It was a pitch black key that seemed to absorb all light. No information popped up in his view, either. This is the first time seeing an item with absolutely no information. The keys to instant dungeons could be seen as pretty common, since he got them from random boxes every now and then. But this guy here, he had never seen anything quite like it. Where am I supposed to use this? Perhaps because it came out of a box named Cursed Random this and that. He couldn't help but think that there was this ominous aura circling around the key. He acquired this key through so much hard work, so he couldn't even throw it away. Well, I'm sure I'll get to use it sooner or later. The Cursed Random box was supposed to give him something that he needed, after all. Has it been 4 years already? Or maybe it was close to 5 now. Jinwoo's expression was full of reminiscence as he stood in front of the employee manning the reception kiosk. The employee's head tilted this way, and that after taking one look at Jinwoo's choice of identification. Isn't this a hunter license? It is. Employee formed a confused expression. If you are unhappy with your assigned rank, you should head over to another depart. No, it's not that. I wish to take the reassignment test. There are guys like that every now and then. Hunters who are not satisfied by the reality of their situation, and swim inside daydreams, before coming back here hoping against hope. So, is that guy also? The manager nodded his head. Reawakened, my foot. Others are busy raking in the dough as hunters, getting famous and all that. But well, he drew the short straw and he ended up as a nobody. So, he's just trying to escape from reality. Dealing with guys like that will only tire you out. So, just tell him that he'll be paying the fee for the test and send him on his way to the measurement room. Roger that. The fingers of the manager stopped typing on the keyboard. The name written on the hunter license. Why did it feel like he had heard of that name before from somewhere? Where was it? That man asked for a favor, didn't he? That man asked the manager to give him a call if a hunter named Sung Jin-Woo ever showed up here. Hello, it's Baek Yun-ho speaking. Hello there, Chairman Baek. I'm calling you because of the hunter you spoke about the last time. The man named Sung Jin-Woo. He really came here today. But how did you know that he might appear here? Did you just say that Mr. Sung Jin-Woo came there? Yes, he was here just now, applying to get a reassignment test. The conversation came to an abrupt halt and an awkward silence pervaded the line. However, only a short while later, an urgent voice came out from the phone's speaker. Even if it's only for a short while, can you somehow delay the measurement process? I'm on my way over there right now. The manager began tilting his head. Did he just mishear that? The master of the one and only White Tiger Guild was speaking with an anxious voice. Well, I'll be. Besides all that, though, the evaluation process was out of his hands already. The manager could only sheepishly reply while scratching the side of his head. That man must have entered the measurement building by now. Jinwoo parked his butt on the very last spot available of the waiting room's bench. Currently, there were 3 people waiting for their turn here. All of them looked quite tense, nervous. Jinwoo could sympathize with what these people were going through inwardly at this moment. Well, the directions of their lives would be decided with the results of today's evaluation, after all. The first time Jinwoo came here, he was thinking about the exact same things as these people. What if I was a rank A, no, even a rank B, or could it be I'm a rank S, swimming in a happy daydream, only to be shocked to the core after receiving the evaluation of rank E. Thinking back to that day 4 years ago, Jinwoo couldn't help but smirk slightly. They are all from various guilds, apparently. Various guilds, is it? Yes, well, hunters don't usually seek out smaller guilds, so they resorted to sending people over here and set up camp just so they can sweet talk awakened like us after we're done with the evaluation. Indeed, there was a certain chilly, unfriendly and competitive air circulating among those folks. And the way they are looking in this direction is pretty predatory, too. Well, there was a reason for that, of course. I'm telling you this because it might help you. But you see, it's better not to sign up with guilds like theirs. Why not? From what I hear, smaller guilds take on lots of dangerous raids, and their hunter fatality rate is far higher than average, too. Jinwoo nodded his head in agreement. At the end of the day, the circumstances of smaller guilds would always remain a bit ambiguous. Unlike privately organized freelancer-led raid parties, clearing low-ranked dungeons wouldn't satisfy them financially. But then again, the skills of the hunters signed up with them wasn't quite good enough to clear higher ranked dungeons. So, accidents happen frequently during their raids, which means recruiting new hunters becomes doubly important for them. And so, they arrived at a point where they had to follow the potential newbies right into the association building and prey on them. Next, please, since the location for the evaluation itself was wide open. One could easily read the expressions on those who finished the test, as well as the employees performing the said test. And the expression of the guy who had taken his test just now didn't look so good. I guess it's either a D or an E. Those folks from the smaller guilds must have thought about the same thing as Jinwoo, because they showed no interest whatsoever even when an awakened walked right past them. Wasn't that too honest a reaction from them? Well, if high-ranked hunters appeared frequently, they wouldn't be paid big bucks anyway. For regular citizens, even being a rank C would be a huge jackpot. One could still earn a fair bit of money by entering freelancer raid parties, or if one's luck was good, then entering large guilds was a viable option, too. Indeed, there were 4 rank CS among the White Tiger Guild's new recruits, weren't there? If one successfully managed to enter a large guild, then it was pretty much guaranteed that you'd earn an annual salary similar to what doctors or lawyers made. I heard that you'd get a ton of money upfront when signing with a large guild. Actually, I owe some money, you see. Because of that, I had to separate from my little girl and must live alone for the time being. Maybe it's because of that, but I'm feeling really nervous. Meanwhile, another awakened walked out and, next up, please come this way. Are you feeling okay? No, it's not that, but, do you mind going ahead first? I'm too tense right now, you see. Was there a reason to refuse when someone wished to give up his spot in the queue? Jinwoo quickly accepted the proposal. Anyone would be feeling nervous if these few minutes determined the rest of their lives. What is your name? It's Sung Jin-Woo. Mr. Sung Jin-Woo, right? Please place your hand on the black-colored panel over there and wait for a little while. Following the instruction, Jinwoo walked over to the measuring device and placed his hand on the black panel. This guy's already been evaluated as an awakened rank T. The employee took a look at the documentation and glanced at Jinwoo with a mystified expression. Just why were almost all the hunters coming here to retake tests all rank E? The employee's expression changed to that of apathy as he activated the measuring device. The magic energy measuring device buzzed noisily, and a short while later it stopped its operation. The results appeared on the display monitor. Huh? What's going on here? The employee tilted his head this way and that, before speaking to Jinwoo, as the latter was about to take his hand off the panel. Hold up, please. Yes, I'd like to run the test one more time. Okay. Jinwoo placed his hand back on the panel. Huh? But something like this never happened before. The expression of the employee gradually hardened. Why was the measuring device malfunctioning all of a sudden? The employee asked for Jinwoo's cooperation once more. I'm truly sorry, but one more time, please. Even before he was asked to take the test again, Jinwoo had already decided to wait and thus didn't bother to lift his hand away from the panel. Why is the device behaving like this? Cold sweat drops formed on the employee's forehead. Where is Chang-sik? Why are you alone here? The employee quickly looked behind him, and he found manager Jeong Kai-soo from the rank evaluation application department standing there. Manager Jeong. Relief formed on the employee's face after an unexpected reinforcement made his entrance. The senior officer went to the bathroom just now. That fool, how dare he vacate his position in the middle of office who? Jeong Kai-soo couldn't bring himself to finish that sentence. The measuring device is acting a little weird. The device is what now? Please, take a look. This error message keeps popping up. Once the employee took a step back, Jeong Kai-soo stood in his stead in front of the monitor that displayed the result of Jinwoo's measurement. And right away, Jeong Kai-soo's expression froze up. How long have you been working here? It's been around 6 months, sir. Did I press the wrong button? Nope. Just call Chang-sik and tell him to get over here right now. Excuse me, I'm saying. His toilet break or whatever isn't important anymore, so tell him to get his ass over here right away. Jeong Kai-soo raised his voice. The employee flinched and asked, what's the matter, manager? This isn't an error message, but it's saying impossible to measure. Don't you understand what that means? But that wasn't an error message. Why was every single newbie employee such a dumbass? Jeong Kai-soo's gaze left the employee and landed on the person taking the evaluation test. This message means that this device can't measure that person's magic power. Did this newbie say it had been around 6 months since he started working here? Forget about 6 months, something like this had not happened in the past 2 years, so of course, it wasn't surprising at all to see a newbie employee being completely oblivious. Jeong Kai-soo's voice trembled as he replied, right, he's a rank S. Rank S special. This rank had been in wide use so people mistook it for an actual official rank. But in reality, this rank simply existed to group those awakened who couldn't be measured by any device. Excuse me, Mr. Sung Jin-Woo, with the current device. Kim Chang-sik immediately remembered that Jinwoo was already a hunter, so he changed the way he addressed the youth. No, wait. Allow me to start over. It's impossible to measure your magical energy output with this device. Sung Jin-Woo Hunter Nim. We need to ask for permission from the higher-ups if we want to use the precision measuring device. So would you mind if you come and visit us again in 3 days' time? By the way, it sounds like Block B is a bit noisier than usual today. Block B, you say? Truth be told, Chief Park couldn't hear anything at all. However, Choi Jong-un was a rank S hunter. His 5 senses should never be compared to that of a regular person's. If Choi Jong-un said it was getting rowdier down there, then something must have happened for real. An honorable guest had come to visit, so what a shameful blunder this was. Chief Park frowned slightly and spoke up. Let me go and find out what's happening. No, wait. I'm also getting curious, so. Choi Jong-un raised his head, and a mysterious flash of light could be seen in his eyes for a moment, and an equally mysterious smile formed on his lips. Why don't we go together? The entirety of the Block B had become deathly silent. Just now, definitely impossible to measure. Does that mean that guy's a rank S? I've only ever heard of it, but seeing an impossible to measure rank with my own eyes is... Gulp. The recruitment agents dispatched by various smaller guilds were busy swallowing dry saliva as they stared at Jinwoo turning in their direction. However, none of them tried to talk to him. If he was a rank C, then they would have started a war of nerves trying to sign him up to their respective guilds. They would have formed the proverbial queue just for a chance to talk to him. What about a rank B, then? They would pounce on him like crazy while throwing around quite attractive-sounding offers, such as guaranteed spot as a high-ranking officer in the guild, or shares in the guild, etc. This man, who got his magic energy measured just now, was supposedly a rank S. Not an A, but an S. It might be an easy thing to say, but the truth was that single letter was only used to denote the very best awakened in the country, with only 9 of them existing in South Korea. With that man included, it'll be 10, isn't it? The 10th rank S hunter. This youth was not someone these headhunters from the various small guilds could even attempt to talk to. Wait a minute. Couldn't this be my opportunity? A handful of quick-witted scouts suddenly had this remarkable idea. How about acting as a middleman? Just as the scouts sneakily glanced at their peers and began inching forward, someone suddenly pointed towards the entrance of the Block B. Huh? Isn't that? Was it because everyone was so tense already? No one could tell who did it first. Everyone seemingly shifted their gazes over in the direction the first man to open his mouth pointed at. The eyes of the scouts widened immediately. Yuck. A man wearing a stylish business suit was entering Block B. There wasn't a single person present who didn't know that man's name. Choi Jong-in. Why is the leader of the hunters here? Sure enough, Choi Jong-in felt the gazes of the crowd and lightly tidied up his suit before walking straight towards Jinwoo. But isn't this too fast for him to get here after receiving an alert? No, wait a minute. Did he already sign up with the hunters? Did the hunters know about him? Well, the top guild sure operates on another level. Scouts present all readily accepted the inevitable conclusion to come. Perhaps it was a relief that none of them stepped forward and tried to chat up the youth. How embarrassing would it have been when one of them started yapping on and ended up running into Choi Jong-in instead. Jinwoo was breathing a sigh of relief at the grand entrance of Choi Jong-in. What a relief. He was pondering what to do next after being stared at by so many pairs of eyes. But what a wonderful timing it was, that man walking in and dividing the attention. Jinwoo inwardly thanked Choi Jong-in for providing some unexpected help. Choi Jong-in's eyes gleamed brightly as he stared into Jinwoo's face. This man's the 10th. Choi Jong-in beat around the bush with Chief Park about checking out the situation together or some such. But the truth was, he already had sensed what was happening before coming here. I mean, they've been yapping on so loudly about impossible to measure this in device error that, so how can I not hear them? Thanks to that, though, he was given a huge opportunity here. Choi Jong-in cleared his throat and formed his trademark smile. I'm Choi Jong-in, the leader of the Hunters Guild. Of course, Jinwoo knew that already. Well, that man's face could be seen frequently enough whenever a TV was turned on. After all, I'm aware that you just had your awakened rank evaluation. Yes, by any chance, have you thought of a guild to join? I'd like to speak to you regarding that issue, so can you spare a minute to talk, please? Sorry, but don't have the time. Jinwoo quickly voiced his refusal and hurriedly left the Block B building. It happened so fast that Choi Jong-in didn't even have the chance to think about stopping the youth from leaving. Meanwhile, the association employees and the scouts from other guilds belatedly realized what had transpired and began freaking out. What the hell? Wait, did Choi Jong-in get kicked to the curb? No matter who sees it, he was ignored. Mutter. The waiting room became very noisy all of a sudden. Choi Jong-in did his best to maintain his calm and looked to his side. Chief Park. Yes, Chief Park replied with an awkward look on his face. Did I make a mistake during my introduction? Well, I wonder. I'm not sure. Obviously, Chief Park heard everything as he was standing to the side. Still, this wasn't the right time to say that out loud, no. When Chief Park shut his mouth, Choi Jong-in sheepishly scratched the side of his head. Was I too careless with my approach? Still, there was no reason to feel disappointed here. Without a doubt, he was one step ahead of other guilds. I'm the only one who knows about the appearance of the new rank S. The remeasurement was scheduled for 3 days later. There was still some time left until the official announcement. Before that, though, I gotta find another opportunity to talk to him, no matter what. While Choi Jong-in began pondering his options, he spotted someone else hurriedly running towards the building. Wait, isn't he? Now that was definitely a familiar face. When that man pushed open the glass door and entered, Choi Jong-in spoke up with a surprised expression on his face. Chairman Beek, what are you? Beek Yun-ho's eyes also widened after recognizing Choi Jong-in. Master Choi. Choi Jong-in quickly deciphered Beek Yun-ho's expression. It's like he knows he's been busted. It was not very likely that he came running after an informant rang him up just now. No, the time of his arrival didn't make sense if that was the case. I mean, the distance between the White Tiger Guild offices and the Hunter Association is great, so. That's right, Beek Yun-ho knew from the get-go. He had prior knowledge regarding what would happen here, meaning he knows about the existence of that man already. But that couldn't be. If so, he'd never let that man go through the reassignment test in this fashion. If it were me, I'd make him sign the contract first and then let him take the test. It was here that the scattered puzzle pieces in Choi Jong-in's head began falling into their respective places. No way could it be. The White Tiger Guild, the incident during their training, the Red Gate, the mystery helper, and then the newly appeared rank S awakened. The White Tiger must have received help from someone they don't want others to know about. Found him. So, it was that man, huh? Choi Jong-in didn't say anything else and relaxedly walked past Baek Yun-ho. Meanwhile, Baek Yun-ho took a look around. He couldn't spot Jinwoo anywhere. Am I too late? Baek Yun-ho could only look on at the distancing back of Choi Jong-in and softly sigh. Who knew that the master of Hunters Guild would be at the Hunters Association? Baek Yun-ho scratched the back of his head and muttered to himself. Things just got complicated. The visiting hours of the Seoul's Ilshin Hospital ended at 8 in the evening. Are you the guardian of the patient Park Kyeong-hae? That's correct. You can go and see her. Are you aware of the visiting hours cutoff time? Yes, I'm aware. Finishing his chat by the nursing station, Jinwoo quickly walked to the patient ward his mother was in. Thanks to his hurried steps, he arrived there not too long afterwards. Jinwoo opened the door and entered the ward, and quietly sat down on the chair next to the bed his mother was lying in. She seemed to be in a deep slumber. With her like this, it's like she'd wake up at any moment now. A slumber that no one could wake up from. It was a new type of illness that appeared with the advent of the gates. I heard from someone that this hospital alone has over 10 patients suffering the same illness. I'll save you. Mom did her best to stabilize the family when his father went missing, even though she never enjoyed robust health. Ending his definitely not short visit, Jinwoo wordlessly walked out of the ward and carefully closed the door behind him. And when he turned around to leave, he got to spot a familiar face standing in the corridor. On that day, it was you who killed the monsters in the duel dungeon, wasn't it? A low and thick, manly voice, sharp, scary eyebrows. He was none other than Woo Jin-cheol from the monitoring division. Jinwoo didn't reply. There was no reason to, nor did he particularly feel like it, either. Instead, there was something else he wanted to ask. How did you find out that I was here? I tried to guess the places you might head off to. I called the hospital and they informed me of your presence here. The association was paying for Mom's hospital fees, after all. Well, that's going to change soon. Did you seek me out just to ask me about that day's events? No, I did not. Well, then, how can I help you? There is someone who'd like to speak to you. Would you mind accompanying me for a little while? Is that an order? No. He then deeply bowed his head, his voice sounding much more serious than before. I'd like to ask you for this favor. Jinwoo didn't expect Woo Jin-cheol, with his fearsome countenance and all, to assume that kind of attitude. Jinwoo pondered a little, before deciding to find out who wanted to meet him first. Who wants to talk to me? It's the president of the Hunters Association, Go Gun-Huey. Woo Jin-cheol then pointed towards the corner behind him and spoke. The association president is currently here. The heaven above heaven. The S-rank hunter Go Gun-Huey, also known as the sky above the sky. After discovering Jinwoo, Go Gun-Huey stood up from the seat. You must be Sung Jin-Woo Hunter Nim. He might be over 80 years old, but his physique was still quite amazing. Indeed, his size reminded one of either a retired pro wrestler or a traditional grappler. However, he didn't emit any of the overbearing aura one might expect from someone like that. That's surprising. Judged from his appearance or his station, Jinwoo expected him to be a bit of douche, a stuck-up of sorts, yet the entourage accompanying that man carried scarier expressions instead. Jinwoo inadvertently caught the glimpse of a golden badge pinned to Go Gun-Huey's jacket. This man currently served as a member of the National Assembly, and at the same time, as the president of the association as well. And a rank S awakened on top of that, too. I'd like to congratulate you on becoming the newest rank S hunter. Jinwoo tilted his head. But the result of the reassignment test hasn't come out yet. Go Gun-Huey shook his head immediately. Actually, the test itself does not have much of a meaning. Excuse me. While Jinwoo formed a confused expression, Go Gun-Huey was forming a gentle smile. The truth is, the so-called precision measuring device is used to draw a finer line on the level of one's powers. It's not designed to sense something that already has exceeded the scope of other devices' measuring capability. Then, how come? Do you wish to ask me why we created another process called reevaluation? Indeed, he did want to ask that. If the end results were going to be the same, then why go through yet another cumbersome process? Go Gun-Huey answered in rather a straightforward manner. It's because we were looking for a grace period. A grace period. Even before Jinwoo could ask what he meant by that, Go Gun-Huey spoke up first, looking somewhat embarrassed. It's to create an opportunity where we can meet and speak to someone like you, Sung Jin-Woo Hunter Nim. Listening to the association president, Jinwoo finally figured it out. As you may well know, there aren't that many excellent hunters in the association. Like Division Chief Woo Jin-cheol here, compared to our size. That was because of large guilds, and that's because of the large guilds. But, of course, Jinwoo nodded his head. Signing up with a large guild guarantees you fat salaries and fame, so who would want to come and work for the association? The salaries for the association's hunters weren't small by any means. But then again, when compared to what one could potentially be earning by working for large guilds, the salary was pitifully pathetic. And so, we came up with a plan in case a truly exceptional awakened decides to visit the association. So, that would be the re-evaluation test, then. Well, sure, if the result of the evaluation was publicly made available, and was spread everywhere, would the association have the chance to make an approach like this? It certainly made sense. I won't beat around the bush and get to the point. We're not a corporation, so we can't promise you lots of money. However, Go-Gun Huey touched his chest area, before extending his fist that was gripping onto something. However, we can help you in a different way. I don't quite understand. What I'm saying here is that we can help guide you, Sung Jin-Woo Hunter Nim, down a very different direction. His clenched fist slowly unfurled. On Go-Gun Huey's palm, a golden badge gleamed brightly. Political power, is it? Even after that, Jinwoo maintained a suspicious expression. You know about the 5 guilds, yes. How could anyone not know of them? Jinwoo silently nodded his head. Currently, you'll find that in South Korea, the heads of 5 large dragons are locked in a delicate balance. Around the capital, the Hunters, the White Tiger, and the Reapers. And in the countryside, the Shining Star and the Night Order. If you decide to enter one of the 5 guilds, doesn't matter which one, the delicate balance will shatter and everything will change. Even now, the status and authority of large guilds were soaring into high heavens. However, what if one of them managed to sign up another rank S hunter and used it as the springboard to soar even higher? Would they listen to the association anymore? The association's sole role was to remain as the center of the balance among the hunters by using power. It is simply far too inadequate to control and tie down hunters with laws and regulations and the threat of prosecution. Jinwoo too thought like that before. Monsters found in dungeons weren't the only monsters out there. Hunters were also, in a way, monsters. If one were to look only at the strength aspect, then hunters were far more dangerous monsters than regular monsters found in dungeons. That is why the association exists. Go-Gun Huey's expression became far more grave. And the association needs your help, Sung Jin-Woo Hunter Nim. For the first time in a long, long while, Go-Gun Huey was feeling nervous and expectant at the same time, as he asked the next question in a soft but firm voice. What will you choose, Hunter Nim? That wasn't a bad suggestion. If Go-Gun Huey were to lend his support, then even the most average guy would be on the fast track to success. The National Assembly, the government, the Hunters Association, and even the mass media. Too, it'd be very hard to find a sector that Go-Gun Huey's reach did not extend to. Not only that, if the person receiving that support just so happened to a rank S hunter, I can't even imagine how far a person like that would climb up. All of a sudden, Jinwoo pictured himself sitting right next to the member of National Assembly Go-Gun Huey while kitted out in a super dope designer business suit. His heart palpitated ever so slightly. Such an opportunity wouldn't come knocking every day, right? However, there was one important thing missing from that scenario. If I sign up with the association, I won't be able to increase my level. The higher-ranked hunters working for the association never participated in raids at all. Their main role was to deal with other hunters, not to hunt down and kill monsters. Jinwoo eventually opened his mouth. And sorry, Go-Gun Huey's expression hardened immediately. I thought I saw determination fill up his face just now. Was I mistaken? He couldn't hide the disappointment in his face. In the end, the ambition of the man named Sung Jin-Woo was only about this much. Go-Gun Huey wasn't lying about lending support for the other path. Actually, he was thinking of something even greater. A new rank S to appear in 2 years. Go-Gun Huey was thinking of keeping this youth close and teaching him the ropes, and if the kid showed promise, groom him to become the next successor. Because a powerful figure was needed to support the association when he was gone. Meaning, Go-Gun Huey was planning to hand over everything he had. However, for the result to be like this, how laughable I am. Go-Gun Huey took away the golden badge and asked in a dejected voice, "Is it because of money?" Jinwoo replied right away, "No, it is not. I want to fight." Jinwoo's unhesitating reply smacked the back of Go-Gun Huey's head. What did he say? It definitely felt like he got sucker punched just now. Did you mean that you want to fight against the monsters? That's correct. Jinwoo didn't bother with unnecessary explanations and spoke frankly. I want to enter gates and hunt down monsters. I believe the place I belong is inside dungeons. How can this be? Go-Gun Huey's eyes widened. A man like him standing on top of many others knew whether someone was telling the truth or lying through their teeth simply from the light emitting from their eyes. The position he occupied could only be reached by possessing such a skill, after all. That was why Go Gun Huey knew it. Those eyes. He's being dead serious. Go Gun Huey's own eyes staring at Jinwoo did a 180. How long has it been since I felt this? By the time Go Gun Huey had awakened, his body was already too old. That was why, instead of fighting against monsters, he looked for other things he could do instead. By using the money he got from selling his company, he established the Korean Hunters Association, gathered hunters, and with his fame serving as the foundation, he marched straight into the National Assembly, and even had a hand in creating laws that governed hunters. However, there was this lingering regret in his heart that would never go away, even though he worked tirelessly all this time. If only I was younger by 20, no, 10 years, I'd been. Go Gun Huey pressed his hand on his chest. His heart that threatened to quit at any time was pounding quickly, rather noticeably, now. My heart can still make a